For my underdogs, the ones willing to pay the cost. Even when we're up, we gotta take a loss. Underdogs are always against the odds. I'ma use this opportunity to do it for my underdogs. I'ma do this for my underdogs. I'ma do this for my underdogs. I'ma do this for my underdogs. Yeah, my underdogs.
Welcome back to another episode of the Rec Center Podcast. I'm Kenny Edwards, joined with my co-host Lorenzo Lolo Parham. Man, I bet they didn't see this one coming.
Hey, we ain't in for a treat today, Ken, man. We kind of like, wait, I feel bougie right now. I feel bougie, man. We got camera crews, man. We got an audience, but, man, nonetheless, man, we bringing on a guest, man, who everybody wants to know his story. We did a whole bunch of rankings of his athletes, of his teams, and where we rank our coaches at on our Oakland OEL Mount Rushmore of coaches, man. So, man, welcome Coach John Beam to the Rec Center Podcast.
Well, we got to start this off right. Ready? 2 claps. Ready? Shit, that was a little slow, man. I told you it was in shape. Try it one more time. Here we go. 2 claps. Ready? Now we ready. I love it. No script. Let's just let it rip.
No script, man. So, Coach Beam, man, once first, congratulations, man, and welcome to the Rec Center Podcast. Both big fans of yours, man. We had a whole bunch of debates. Your name come up, a whole bunch of athletes. So we want to just start to the beginning of it, man. We know you was at Skyline for a while, right? Ken just let me know that you're originally not from Oakland. Break down to us where you came from and where you got up to Oakland and get into coaching.
Absolutely. So I grew up in San Diego.
Okay.
I went to Kearney High, the Comets. Well, my helmet's over there somewhere, but anyways, we wore the stripes. Like we from the jailhouse, right? We was like, our team was like kids from Oakland. Mm-hmm. You know, I grew up with black kids, brown kids, Samoan kids. You know, my coach was one of the winningest coaches in San Diego history. My senior year was his last year. He did 20 plus years there. So we always finished off in what we call a stadium, right? Like Coliseum, maybe we played at the stadium, and so we were always good. I went from there, I went to junior college, where I went to San Diego Mesa, which is where we played our actually home games at. And at Mesa, I played with NFL dudes, and I was coached by, Mike Martz. Wow. So think about that. So we had dudes, And again, I learned all that. But in the meantime, as any young man or young student athlete, didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, right? You go high school ends, like, damn, now what? Some of us, it's the pinnacle of our athletic careers.
Right.
For whatever reason, life. So when I went to junior college, I played, and I was all conference as a 205-pound left tackle. I want you to think about that.
Highly talented.
I don't know about all that. I think I fooled him somehow. And, Mike Martz was, like I told you, offensive coordinator. We're the first team in JC history, I think, at that time. We had a 2,000-yard quarterback who threw for 2,000 and a 1,000-yard rusher. So we were running 4 wides before anybody else. And so we were ahead of the game. And so I learned that from Mike Martz. But I also had this coach, Charlie Popa, that said, look, man, there's more to life than football. I want you to get into academics, because at that time, I'm just trying to chill like everybody else, take these fun classes. I'm at JC. You went to JC. You know how it is. You run around, you got these new females from different schools. You checking out, hey, what's going on? Right. You trying to get into this mix. Dudes that you used to battle with, now they're your teammates. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of a real interesting social mix. But he said you need to take care of business in the classroom. So after being all conference, the next year I come in, I got all these letters from, I'm getting letters from Pac-8 schools back then.
Well, I'll be the Pac-8 again in a minute.
Oh, Pac-4, right? But how does a 205-pound tackle go and pack anything? You know what I mean? Right. But they don't know that. They just see you're on a good team and you made all conference. Right. They don't look at all the really, everything else. And that's why I want a lot of these kids to understand that, right? You might get recognized for something, but they don't really know who you are. So don't believe the hype, right? So anyways, in the 5th game of the year, I blow out my knee. And I got a major, I got ACL, MCL, cartilage, everything. I'm done. So, I'm sitting there, I'm trying to rehab. Back then you were actually I was in a hospital for a week. And I'm in a cast for 8 weeks. And so you doing all this.
That's probably Mike Martz.
And I still talk to him, by the way. You doing all this and thinking you will get back, but you're not getting back. It's back then. So long story short, I don't make it back. I get us offered for a scholarship to play at New Mexico, Eastern New Mexico, some small, I think D2 or NAIA. I mean, that's about probably where I belong. But I got to have another operation, another knee surgery. So I got it in the season, and then in June I got to get it again. So I can't play. So I'm like, shit, I'll go to JC, just hang out. I already got my A degree, but I'm gonna just hang out and figure out what I want to do. I've got a scholarship. I'll go in December. Well, my offensive line coach Charlie Pope, when I told you, said, look, you're not standing around here doing nothing. Go coach. So he put me with this coach at Sarah High School, and I went up to become the varsity offensive line coach. I loved it.
Sarah High School out
Diego?
here?
No, in San Diego.
San Diego, okay.
Yeah, and we took him to the playoffs. First time school had been to the playoffs. This new school. Only been around like 3 or 4 years when I got there, but it was fun. And this dude is one of the best football coaches I've ever had. Mike Williams. This guy knows football. I learned so much. I did 2 years with him. I'm like, this is what I want to do. So now I'm going to San Diego State. I'm gonna get my teaching credential. I'm gonna coach. That's what I want to do, right? I met my wife, and she was going to UC San Diego, but she's from San Jose, so she was transferring to Berkeley. Like, you know what? I've been San Diego my whole life. Let me go ahead and go up to Northern California. So I was going to go to San Francisco State because they had a really good program at the time. The coach was a guy, Vic Rowan, that everybody knew. He was the head of the East-West Shrine game. He was a really renowned coach. I was going to go there, but it was going to take me another year to finish my degree. They wanted me to take extra classes, so Hayward didn't. Plus, I show up in summer. I go see San Francisco State. I'm walking around, in shorts. I'm freezing my ass off.
Let's go.
Hell no.
Let's go.
I go back to the beach, brother. You know what I'm saying?
Let's go.
So I ain't doing that. So I just went to Hayward. I never even seen the school. I just told my wife, drop in that. You just want my wife to, but just drop off my application. I'll go there. I show up my first day. I leave San Diego State, at the end of the semester. I'm wearing shorts, flip-flops, and a sweatshirt, a hoodie. I come up here, I got jacket, sweater, gloves, long underwear, freezing my ass off.
It's Colorado.
I go, snap, I gotta get out of here. But I stayed, and I got my degree, and I started teaching subbing in Oakland, because they needed subs. So
Right.
I'm like, cool, I'm gonna sub. Well, they put me at Castlemont, Elmhurst. Man, I'm in the hood every day, And so damn. They got me down here. So I met this guy. Then they gave me a long term at Montero doing math. So I was doing math. And this guy, Scudder, was a PE teacher for 30 years. I said, what's the best program? He said, well, Oakland High used to be good, but now Skyline's starting to win. You should go up there and talk to them. Yeah, I said that. That's right. So I went up to Skyline, and Tony Fardella was there, and I talked with him. He said, yeah, I got a job for you. I'll hire you. So I thought I was just going to be coaching offensive line. And then that was in May. Next thing, it's August, ready to start. I haven't heard from him. I'm like, dude, does he really want to hire me? So I go up there. He goes, oh yeah, you're the DC. I'm the DC? Maybe the DC. So I started in 1982 at Skyline coaching football, and I was student teaching at that time in Oakland. And I was student teaching with a guy named Hollis Green, phenomenal.
Hollis.
Yeah, you know him from all the basketball stuff.
Absolutely.
And Elton Reeder.
Okay.
So I was doing adaptive PE. So I was all over the district, right? And I did a good job, and they go, you know what, you're supposed to do your second year student teacher, second semester, I'm supposed to go to San Leandro. They go, you ready to teach? They got it opening at Havens Court. You go to Havens Court. And my wife was pregnant, I had no money. Shit, okay, I'm gonna go to Havens Court. I'm in the hood.
You in it.
Right by the village.
That's right. But Hollis had got me coaching, and back in those days, and that's what's missing, I think, and I guess that's what you want me to talk about, Oakland history in a lot of ways. Back in those days, there wasn't all this AAU basketball. There was no travel basketball, right? So you played for your junior high. And they had great teams, right? So I was coaching at Bret Hart with Hollis. And then they had Friday night was Guide Right tournament, a league, at Havens Court. Odie used to run that, right? And Mr. Butler. And so we go every Friday night. First game's at 5 or 6, and then your last game's at 9. You out of there at 10. So I'm leaving Havens Court in the village. This is 1982 now. Understand that Felix Mitchell was still rocking and rolling, right? Yeah. I'm leaving the village at 10 o'clock at night. Me and my wife.
Random.
Man, me and my wife, the only 2 others, right? But you know what? No one's tripping because I'm there.
Right.
Now I go teach there, and they're like, dude, I know you from somewhere. And at the time, there was a guy named Shug at Castlemont basketball, Japanese American guy at basketball, and that Frick had Mr. Toy. So, are you Shug's brother? You know, sure. Why not? You know,
It gets me home safe, sure.
you know. So I'm at Havenscourt. I got Little D, I got Byron Burchett, I got all the bangers down there. And, you know, I made them dress, I made them do PE, and they're like, they loved it. And I'll never forget this. Little D came up one time and said, Mr. Beams, you're a real gym teacher, man. You're a real gym teacher. You're really teaching us some stuff, man. I like that. Because I did gymnastics with them. I did other things. I wanted them to not just play basketball, right? So we tried to do a lot of stuff. But at the same time, I'm coaching football at Skyline. And so, you know, my first year there, we were 8-2. We lost to Oakland High in the championship. There wasn't a Silver Bowl at that time. They did give a trophy, but it wasn't a real Silver Bowl. Then the next year, we were, I think, like 5. We were really mediocre. We lost to Oakland High again. And I was 83. At that time, there was a guy named Ike Kiefer, right? Because you guys may know him from Mac, but he actually was coaching at that time up at Merritt. Merritt had a football team. Y'all didn't even know. Look at your eyes go up.
No one that played.
I remember Keeper was at Oakland High right before I got there.
Correct. So he went. But then he was up at Merritt coaching. Fred Brown was up there. A bunch of guys. Evans was up there. So Hollis and Elton Reeder were up there. So they wanted me to come coach up there. I'm like, God, do I want to do that? And then so Mike Martz comes by, you know, recruiting. He's an offense coordinator at Arizona State. I was like, Coach, what should I do? He says, well, if you want to do D1, don't be assistant coach at Merritt because I'll never know who you are. But if you stay at a high school, I'm only going to come get high school talent, and then people will see you. That's all right. So I thought in my mind, at the time, early on, I always thought that JC would be a great place to coach because JC's good money, it's secure, got good retirement. At the time, Division I wasn't paying what it's paying now. So I said, all right, that's a good idea. So I stayed at Skyline. So in 1984, we go 10-0 and beat De La Salle at De La Salle. I'm the DC. So, you know, you can't get much better. And then from there, we beat the next 2 years we won. And then now after 5 years, Tony Fardella decided he was going to step down and I became the head coach. And so now this time I'm teaching at Frick. So still doing everything at Frick. You know, I'm doing football, running up to Skyline, running back down and back and forth, you know. And I want to just say this because and I'm rambling, but I'm sure your audience needs to hear this. I grew up in San Diego and I played with dudes, but Oakland had real dudes. When I walked in Oakland the first year in '82, basketball guys are playing. Every team's got a 6'8", 6'7" dude. You know, they got 6'4" guys that play big. They got real, look like basketball players, not athletes playing, not Kenny Edwards or Lolo playing basketball. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. They're real basketball players. You know what I'm saying?
I know, Coach. I don't know. Kid, basketball like Kim.
I know, but you know, I'm just telling the truth, right? You know what I mean? But back then they had quarterback, man. So, you know, they had real dudes. So one of my high school classmates was coaching at USF. USF had a really good thing. So I brought him to Frick one time, and we were out there playing with Kenny Jewett, and, you know, all these dudes playing, and Marcel Johnson. These are names like, you know, Fremont and Catsmouth legends. Yeah. And they're playing, and he's looking at these dudes. He goes, man, I'd take 4 of these dudes on that team. Right now. It is Frick, right? I mean, athletes. You know, I had dudes that could hit the fence. You know, Frick's got about 10 foot.
Yeah.
They hit it one jump when you know they get because you know they'd be banging people. The games was rocking back then. You know,
right?
They hit that fence. They hit that fence one jump and flip and be gone. I'm like, damn! Without me as a big, why aren't you playing sports? Right. So you know, I started working these guys. I had some great kids at freaking Martin Lawson, Oakland High guy. I don't know if you even know that name. So these are guys, Otha Johnson, Otha West. I mean, there was just kids that came there, you know, Dwayne Joseph, guys that could play football, but a lot of them weren't playing football at the time. There was a guy named Marcus Cotton. Have y'all heard of him? Mm-hmm. See, how y'all going to be the rec league and not know this?
I've heard Marcus Cotton's name before.
Well, your daddy knows?
Councilman.
Yes. Yeah. Marcus Cotton was a first-round draft pick.
USC.
But he went to, no one even knew him, but at Castlemont, they buried him as a D tackle.
What position did he play?
In the NFL, played linebacker. At SC played linebacker, but I'm watching him, and we beating him, and I'm like, this dude, I don't think nothing. I mean, he's quick and stuff. We're gonna double, we'll do some stuff to him. Then I watched him play basketball. That boy exploded out the gym, like so fast as jumps. I ever say, pop, pop. He go for a rebound, come down, go back and get before you got it the first time. That's how fast as he explodes. Now this dude's in the NFL. So guys were here. Oakland had all these athletes, obviously in the 80s, you know, especially in the Village, right? You know, all this going, 85th was rocking at the time, you know, 77 Greenville. I mean, you know, I ain't gonna tell you, man, look.
We know that part.
That's where I'm at. So I'm there every day. And I'm running my program, but these kids could play. Now my job is to get them off the street and get them onto a court or field or something. Right? I loved it.
What was the method you used to get them? Like sometimes, and what we see in our Oakland culture a lot is some of the kids are so wired to that street aspect of it. It's easy to be wired to that. How did you implement that to get them removed from that environment onto?
I think you just, because I'm teaching there. See, part of it, I'm teaching every day. And I'm showing them different things in their life. So at Frick, I did this thing called the 100% Club. So at Frick, they showered in PE. So you had to dress every day, shower every day, and show up every day for a marking period, which was 6 weeks. If you did it for 6 weeks, only 6 weeks, you made the 100% Club. Made the 100% Club, I took you on a field trip. But this is where I took you. I took you ice skating. I took you skiing.
Different stuff.
I took you river rafting.
Richmond.
I took you horseback riding. Because I wanted to show you that there's more outside of Oakland. That there's more that you can accomplish and see if I believe in you. And you heard me on Last Chance, you talking about, I will always believe in you so you can believe in yourself. But I had to show them something. And it was fun to me to do that. And like I said, I took these kids skiing. They never skied in their life. They went down the hill, like, after the first time, like, this is easy. What, all these white people can't figure this shit out, right? We went ice skating, you know, and back then they didn't have the one in Oakland. We had to go to Berkeley Arena, the ice rink, right? And they got the middle with the little people that know their stuff, right? And the kids from Frick come in and like, well, can I learn how to, well, you can't do that. You know, this takes years of practice. They watch them spin, the next thing you know, they spin. It's like roller skating. They can spin like nothing. So these kids are spinning and doing these triple axels or whatever they call them, like they've done it their whole life. I took them swimming. Now, they had to make sure they swam. Some of them didn't, obviously. But the ones that could, then I put them on the high dive, the platform. They watch someone do it like, okay, I can do it because there's no limitation. The limitations are what we put on them. We put on them. Think about this. Basketball, football, track. What if we told you to play baseball? What if we told you to play golf? What if we told you to do tennis?
I tried all those.
Did you? Yeah. Maybe not. Not really. Not with the right coaching. You hear what I'm saying? And maybe those things would have been different. But we limit what we do because our vision is limited.
That's true.
True.
Right? You brought your daughter out here to play flag football.
Yeah.
That was out of the box. And she thrived.
She's about to be All-American in this.
And now we're going to add women's girls flag football. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is that we open it up, and we just talked about it. So just before you walked in, and your brother knew Tania Woods. She never ran track in her life. She went to Frick. She shows up at Skyline. I get her to go out for track. By the time she leaves, she's the state 100-meter champ, 200-meter champ, has run the second fastest, third fastest time ever by a high school girl, ever in the country.
I remember too.
But she'd never done anything. How many Tania Woods, how many Kenny Lolo that we did put them out there? How many guys? Will Blackwell was a sixth man on the Frick basketball team, and he's a second-round draft pick. Marvell Smith didn't do shit. He was a second-round draft pick. He could be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
How many people like that are out there in this city that we don't even know about? How many end out at the Hall camp or YA back in the day that if we would have got them in the right places and did the right things, they would be contributing to society instead of taking from society. Right now, we got all these BIPs going on. We got these things going on. How many? Because we don't have programs in our schools for these kids.
Absolutely. I agree.
You know?
Absolutely.
And I was lucky because when I was at Havens Court, Kate Hodges was the principal. She hired me and wanted just them to do PE. She just didn't want them to don't dress and do nothing.
Right.
And when I did have them do it, I took them to Greenman. No one ever taking them kids to Greenman. I'm like, you got this big old grass field right next to your school, and no one goes. They want you to be on the asphalt and just in the gym. That coach is not safe over there. Why not? I took them over there. And then when I did, guys like Little D and them looked at it and go, I like this coach. We okay. So all of a sudden, I kind of became that guy that no one wanted to mess with. Like I was cool because I was doing something. Right. I didn't understand it at the time. I do now, but at the time, I'm like, I'm just doing my job. But we're gonna do this. I show up on Friday night at 10 o'clock. I'm at Havens Court because someone got to be there. right? And then didn't think about it that, well, I'm the only other, non-black folk in the
I'm
whole
trying to
shit.
picture this in the 80s.
You know what I'm saying? So
Agreement, and I'm like,
we just doing what we doing. Okay? Your dad understands it because in the 80s you wasn't even born.
I started coaching when I was born.
Okay, you see what I'm saying? So, but if you do all that, and so if you give somebody something, then they respect what you do. Right? I'm not asking for any medals. I got paid to do a job that I loved. I didn't do nothing. I didn't think it was extraordinary, but that's how my PE classes were growing up in San Diego. So I only knew what San Diego PE looked like. I didn't know what Oakland looked like. So I did what I knew.
Yeah.
When I started coaching, I only knew what I learned in San Diego from guys like Mike Marsh and Mike Williams. That's what I'm going to teach. So, and I know I did a good job because when my kids left Skyline, they played at the next level. They performed. They didn't get sent home. They did not sit the bench. They were ready because that was the expectation of what I put on them. And I put the expectation on me too.
Let me ask you a question, Coach. So that's one of the questions we want to ask you about when you came in and built Skyline football program when you became the head coach. Did it mirror exactly what you was doing at what Mike Marsh did in San Diego? How much of it?
No, not really. So in some ways, so Tony Fardell had a good program at Skyline before I got there. So let's just start with that.
Okay.
I wasn't starting from ground zero. Okay. But what I did is I made summer mandatory. We lifted in the morning. I did things like that. Now, see, people say, why do you lift in the morning? Because athletes, two things. Number one, they want to play another sport. So you want to play basketball? Go play basketball. But you lift on football, you want to play football, you better lift at 7 in the morning. Don't want to lift? Fine, don't play. Right? Now,
you lift in the morning at Tech?
Did I lift at Tech?
In the morning?
Did I lift at Tech?
that's it. You hear what I'm saying?
He said summer. I'm like, summer?
So exactly. So here's what we did, right? So we did those things because that's what you do. That's what the Orange County schools were doing. That's what De La Salle was doing. So why isn't Skyline doing it? Okay? Think about this though. But if you lifted with me, are you running the streets?
No.
I never cut anybody. If you show up at 7 in the morning, you on the team. If you don't show up at 7 in the morning, then you don't need to play. If you show up in the morning at 7, are you vested in the team? So when it comes time to do stuff, you're like, man, I didn't show up 7 in the morning for the whole spring semester, not to play or not to do foolishness. And in the summer, I made them go to summer school. In Oakland, you get done about 1 o'clock, be up the hill at 2 o'clock. So 2 to 5, we'd be at Skyline. So where did all your parents know where you're going to be at? They knew where you're going to be. And if you're with me, you ain't on the street. Yeah, you ain't making no money. Okay, you don't need money. Work afterwards, shit. Right?
Yeah.
Your money's going to be when I get you in the school for free.
Coach up there making nothing.
But if I go to workout at 7 a.m., by the time practice is over for whatever sport I'm doing in the spring, I don't got the energy to go run the streets after that, right? I don't have the energy.
Right.
And so I sacrificed because I had to be at school an hour early, right? But it's better than they go to baseball, whatever. And I think it's important to understand that. Now, y'all know how hard it is to get to the hill, Skyline. The 52 don't run all that time.
Right.
So some guys would leaving their house, like Ryan Fernandez, who went to Stanford. He would leave at 4 in the morning sometimes, get up at 4 to start the process to get, because he lived with his mom in Richmond and his daddy lived out in like San Ramon, Danville. So
none of them in the district?
No, his granny did. That's right. Because he was going between two houses, right? They felt that the granny's house was the best in between.
Yeah.
But you see how early he had to leave because he had to take the bus. He wasn't driving yet.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
You know? So once you start seeing that, then you start seeing the dedication. Then you start talking to him about academics. Because football has a shelf life.
Yeah.
It's going to end at sometime like that milk in the refrigerator when it's bad. Shit, you don't even want to smell it, let alone drink it. So let's be prepared for when it's over.
Because it's going to be over.
It's going to be over.
It's going to be over.
So, like I
It
said,
might not even start.
It might
not.
It might not even start.
And there's a lot of kids that, that played for Skyline. They didn't even play, but they had a great experience and went. So one of the things that Skyline I want to do, again, to enhance the experience, right? I started traveling every year. Took them to Hawaii, took them to Vegas, took them to Southern California. I wanted to do something different to give them incentive. But here's the other thing. What I was finding out was when kids were going on their trip, the first trip to be recruited, D1, on a plane. They'd never been on a plane before. So I said, well, let me put them on a plane with me so it'll be comfortable when they go on for them.
Yeah.
And then when my kids went on recruiting trips and when we flew, they had to wear a shirt and a tie.
Business trip.
Business trip, exactly. because I wanted to prepare for life after Skyline.
100%.
But you start it now. But you start with saying, you can do it. And back in the day, I used to open the weight room at Frick in the summer. Now this is in the 80s, right?
Frick had a weight room.
Exactly. I built a weight room there before.
Oh,
you see,
okay.
They gave me a shop class. I took everything out. I bought all the weights. I filled it up. And then when you came in, so I opened up, because the parking rep paid me, whatever, $16 an hour, $15. Opened up for anybody in the community. So once they found out them dudes come out the pen, they found out where the free weight room is.
That's big.
At Frick. I let them lift there with my Skyline dudes, right? You got thumpers in there, right? Simple rule. No N-word. No pagers, because there's no cell phones, no pagers. Can't bring them in, and no funk. You funk, you out. So I had dudes from all over East Oakland that run with this, group, this group. They come in there and lift. My kids in there, you got some white kids from Skyline in there. And they live with a dude that just got out the pen. He's throwing up 4 plates, and they try to get their little 2, but they were fired up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But what did it do? It let them see a whole nother side. That look, they just like me. They got out the pen, I got the pen, but look what they trying to do with
It's
it.
just like you, just choices be different.
Exactly. And so we always want to show that, right? I tell people all the time, since I've been at Laney, I recruit these kids from San Ramon and all this, right? And I recruit the kids from Oakland and the hood. What they find out, the white kid and the black kid, the Samoan kid and the poly kid, they don't got as many differences as everybody thinks they do. They got the same thing. Number one, they trying to get a scholarship. Number two, they probably got some funk at home, like, someone sweating them.
Right.
So they figured it all out. All of a sudden they go, you know what, we're not really different. And become friends from here. And that's what I wanted to do. I want to try to, even the field, open things up, and expose people to as many different things as possible. Right?
I never knew it was that deep. I thought it was just, I knew it was more than wins and losses, because wins and losses on you only gonna coach for so long. But I didn't know it was this deep.
So it is. And let me just say this, like I would tell kids that, like, Coach, why you do all this? Because eventually I'm gonna need Social Security and I want your ass working. So you can put some money in there, right? But it's not really, but like, if I live in the city, which I do, I've been living in the city since I moved here from San Diego. If I live in the city, I want the city to be great. I want the city to be safe. When I walk around this city, I want to be safe. I want my grandbaby to be safe. I want my daughters to be safe. I want you to be safe. I want your nephew to be safe. I want your dad to be safe. How do we do that? We got to give people hope. We got to give people hope. If we don't give them hope, shit, what do we wait? Why are we here? And that's sometimes I think, like we put all this effort in some of our sports right now, and I hear it all, and I see you and Ed and everybody always talking about private school.
That got out, coach. That got out.
Oh, well, I like reading it, but it's funny to me. But instead of saying all that, look, you have to decide what's best for your child.
Absolutely.
And whatever you think is best for your child, that's what you're going to do, right? But it's not about the D1. If you only worry about the D1 guy, and I put more D1 than anybody. And you can tell Carter I said that, okay? So, but how many did I not put in D1? They still had to play for me. I didn't want to quit on them. I still owed it to them. They showed up at 7 a.m. So I owed it to them to help them get to where they need to be.
Absolutely.
Right? It's not just about your D1 guy. We're trying to do it all. And one of the worst things when people said when I left Skyline to come here, what was it? I missed teaching sophomore PE because I always had the babies. So when Skyline at that time was 10 to 12, I had all the sophomores. I mean, boys and girls. That's how I met Tania, right? I had them all. I enjoy working with them. I put a lot of effort in my PE classes.
Okay, so coach, couple things. Great outlook on how to build a program, right? On how you did it and what the mission was, right? And what we see, I just stopped coaching. It became a little bit too much for me now, right? My son's going to high school. He's at Sacred Heart Cathedral in San Francisco. But I think that portion of what you're saying is what's missing right now, right? Now we get guys like, for example, you got Peters over at Mac, who's been there. He's been there for so long, so he knows the formula. I feel as if some of the younger coaches that in the OEL now don't understand it, right? So Ed, I always tell Ed all the time, we argue 24/7, but there's only one Ed there. It's just you there, right? And if everyone had your passion for the school, everyone's school will be different. Ed really cares about the kids, and it's not just the D1 kids. He's trying to get them all to have a successful life. But when you go talk to these coaches or these different things, do you see that miss right then and there on what the program is? Okay.
Absolutely. I see that the parochial too, right? They only see what's for them in their vision, right?
Right.
It's a silo, right? We got to look outside the silo. We can't be myopic, right? We got to open up and really have true vision. So, and Coach Carter and Coach Peters Pooh, I spent hours with them one night just talking about how to get their kids recruited. That didn't bother me. But if you want to do it, here it is. I'm going to give you what I do.
Right.
It's up to you if you want to do it. And he did a great job with that. One of the things I also want to just go back when you keep talking about Frick. I lived in the neighborhood.
No way.
I walked to Frick every day to go to work. The kids used to pick me up. So here's the deal. Like if you have a 3.0, then I would open the gym early at school so you could open gym in the school. But they would like come pick me up, wait from my house. Mr. Beans, they always call him Mr. Beans. Mr. Beans, let's go. Walk me to school, and then afterwards I stayed until about 5 o'clock, and then lock it up, and they walk me back. So I lived right there, right across from Seminary, on Roberts. I just walked across Seminary. Kevin Smith, Bobby Smith, Priscilla Smith, you guys remember those names?
Bobby Smith from Fremont?
Yeah. So Kevin was the oldest brother, then Priscilla, she won a state championship. Kevin, is a big time coach and teacher, and then Bobby. So they lived right on the other side of Seminary, and there's an alleyway. They used to always laugh. Mr. Bean, go to the alley. It's a shortcut. I ain't going through no alley. I go to San Diego, man. Shit, I ain't going through no alley. And I'm in Oakland. Shit.
I was born
I grew up I grew up as a teacher at Frick. At Havens Court. They talk about Billy Do all that time, man. I don't know if Billy Do is true or not. I ain't going to the alley. The kids used to always mess up, but laugh about me not going through the alley. Mr. Bean's afraid of the alley, everybody. Yep. I stay on the public streets. But anyways, I think that we need to look at that, and I think schools need to look at it, right? So to me, and I used to say that Skyline all day. I spent 22 years at Skyline, and I used to say they always talk about at-risk programs to help at-risk youth. I said the most successful at-risk program we have for youth in Oakland is our athletics.
Right.
So why do we cut from it first? We need to make it thrive.
Right.
Right? And we've got to get, and I'm going to say this to these coaches, get your degrees. What do you know about coaching? What are you putting in to help yourself to be a better coach? I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars going to clinics and things, learning to be a better coach.
Right.
And meeting with people to learn, right? And I was blessed. I have a master's degree in kinesiology. I learned a lot, like in track. I coached track. I learned from some of the best track coaches around, but I learned the science behind track. Because, at that time, as the Eastern Bloc fell apart, right, with the Soviets, we learned about all their training methods, right? There was a science behind it, but in America for the longest time, it was just pick the fastest guys and run them and they'd be good versus the science behind it. Curtis Taylor, who I worked with for years at Skyline in here, he's got a master's too. We were in some of the same master class. He's got the science behind running. There's more to it, right? What are we doing? Now you see guys in baseball, they're doing the analytic pitch counts, right? Are we going to save our young arms, right? Are we just going to let them blow out, let them go forever, right? And go. And think about this. Let's go back again to the 80s, and your dad will really understand this. Back then, baseball was big in Oakland.
Oh, yeah.
Oakland Babe Ruth was winning national championships.
Yes.
What happened?
Well, that's what we're trying to figure out now. But that's what Coach Carter said, too, though, in terms of the coaches these days. Coach Carter did say he spent a lot of time at these coaching clinics, learning how to coach, but also networking to be able to get his kids out. So, that's something you guys did that I don't know. I'm not saying they're not doing, but I don't know if the coaches these days are doing that.
I think now, due to the social media aspect, there's an ego with coaching now. I'm not sure if it was an ego with coaching with you guys.
Sure there is.
Yeah, but
because you're alpha males, right?
But I don't do. But so like me, when I was just coaching, I didn't mind saying,
I don't know.
I know I'm a wide receiver coach, but if you coach wide receivers, I don't mind coaching linebackers.
Right.
Now it seems like it's who knows more, who can do this more, instead of asking for help.
But it's also this, right? You may know all you want, but if the kid doesn't get it, do you really know that much? Right. It's what you can get to the young man or young woman you're coaching that they learn it. If they don't learn it, Doesn't matter what you have. It's the teaching part of it.
Absolutely.
The patience part of it. I go and I hear dudes just motherfuck kids all day long.
All day long.
And call them dumbasses, which I do, by the way. But you know me, but did you tell them what they're doing wrong? Are you showing them? You know, I still go in the weight room. I put up 265 the other day. Not the other, a few months ago. You know what I'm saying? I still knock out 225, brother. You know what I'm
We're
saying?
not gonna let facts get in the way of a good
Not,
story.
I
What you mean? We're not gonna let facts get in the way of a good story.
You don't believe me?
I didn't say that. I said we're not gonna let facts.
So
get
did
in
you
the way
see
of
me
a-
on the last chance? You see that 225 I was putting up on the bench?
That's a long way from 265.
No, he's at 360.
No, 260.
Oh, I thought he's at 3.
said two.
No, he can do 265. Easy.
Think so?
Yeah,
Oh,
easy.
you better go ahead. Jabari down here right now.
Easy.
He can tell you right now.
Yeah, he can do that. Easy.
Not right to
Yeah.
today. Should I just do 225? Because young Lance was talking about he gonna get two, so I had to go show him how to throw up 225 for him real quick this summer.
Young
So,
lad.
so Bing, let me ask you this too. You talk, okay, so you talk about the discipline, 7 o'clock, you know, motherfuck kids and all that stuff. What is, and being an Oakland High kid, Lolo being a Tech kid, we hear this term all the time, and we don't know what it means. What is a beam guy?
Man, I got Titan pride, baby.
And that's the follow-up question. What is Titan pride?
So
Because to this day, Kirk Johnson will fight you, literally fight you,
Yes,
if
he
you
will.
say something about Skyline.
Yeah.
yeah, Kirk Johnson, and he's the, when we left our interview with Kirk Johnson at the end, he made us damn near want to run through a wall for Titan pride,
Yeah.
right? He was a little chanty thing y'all do at the end, and then it was like, oh shit, it's serious.
You know what? When Mike, a beam guy is a guy that can be coached hard, right? A guy that's honest. So I tell these kids all the time, right? Don't ever lie to me. I'll never lie to you. Don't ever lie to me. I'll help you. We can do this together. But I can't help you lie.
Right.
And I coached you in that All-Star game.
Now, I was gonna say, because he was talking about Kirk running through a wall. I was gonna say, I played for Beam one game, and that pregame speech, it wasn't even like rah-rah. It's just like how he commands. We was ready. We was ready.
We mopped him.
We was ready. I was like, man, I don't know if he meant it, but Beam had me feeling like had I went to Skyline, I really would have been like All-American.
No.
Just the way he built you
I'll
up.
tell you
And
something,
that was
right?
like 2 weeks of practice.
So back on the beam guy thing, right? Because we had our first ever interview we did coach with Arthur Young, right?
He's not a beam guy.
He's not a beam guy, right? Not a beam guy. But Arthur Young, coming from a strong dynamite program and had a lot of hype behind his name, how was that when they get to, like, it was a lot of kids come from dynamite that come to you, right? How was it with them coming in the Skyline program now from the Dynamites with this hype and how you was able to deal with those athletes?
It's the same thing I do here. You start with me, you start brand new. So I don't care what happened before.
Athletically,
Whatever.
off the
You guys
field.
get in trouble, they come
Yeah.
from jail. I've got kids here that went from prison here and got D1, right?
Mhm.
Linebacker, sure.
But I don't care. So all your hype in Pop Warner, remember I didn't get the best Pop Warner guys at first. They didn't go to Skyline. Will Blackwell was an offensive lineman for the Dynamites.
Mm.
Think about that. Right? So we didn't get the best. But you start new. So someone said this once before that Arthur Young, I don't mean to talk bad about the brother, but you know, like his heyday was he was a Dynamite All-American. What happened after that? Because it happens that way. Like you got to go further than that. I just got inducted to my high school Hall of Fame, and I was kind of wondering because you know I played with some dudes. I mean, dudes. Like why am I? You know, one of my guys, was in the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame, Cooperstown, and Alan Trammell.
Oh, okay.
Right. So you get like, how did you pick me? And they go, because the last chance you go, my coach, I told you, who was like one of the winningest coaches, and he was a hard ass. He was a part that started the Hall of Fame. He said, we don't want to put people in the Hall of Fame for what they did at 16 and 17-year-olds. What do they do in life?
Wow.
So, look at that, right? So like, again, if you're a Dynamite All-American, well, what happens when you get to high school? If you're a high school All-American, what happens in college? If you're a college All-American, what happens when you go to the league? So, it's a constant growth. Think about this. How many people don't play Dynamites? Corey Collins never played Dynamite. He's no more receiver in the country.
Right.
His brother Cornell never played. Marvell Smith never played because he was too big.
Right.
Half the kids are too big to play, right? Deion Struthers, right? You know, he showed up as a 200-something pound running back for me as a sophomore out of Michigan, right? And so he couldn't have played Dynamite.
Right.
And he was back 10, you know? And so when you look at it, that's part of it. But to me, a being guy is a guy that you can depend on. Just like I'm a dependable guy. You don't have to be flashy.
Right.
Get the shit done. And who can be, you know, you gotta tell the truth about it. I'm gonna tell you the truth about yourself, and you're gonna tell me. I always told you your daughter was good. And you know, I also told you that you and your wife having all the funk about your daughter, y'all need to leave that shit away from Laney when you come over with this flag football.
Wrong.
Am I right or wrong? Because that's the truth.
Yeah.
Right, we'll be right back.
But you hear what I'm saying? We always got to put our kids first before us,
Yeah, absolutely.
right? And so I think that's it. But Titan Pride, like I couldn't even tell you what it is. So when I went to Skyline, when I first started, Coach Fardella had this whole thing about pride. There was each letter meant something. I don't know what it means. I still don't know today. But to me, it's something that, you know, you just carry with yourself. Them dudes I coached, they would go through a wall for me. And they would go for a wall through each other. But they also worked. Nothing was given to them. So I want you to think about this. We win the Silver Bowl all the time. Did you ever hear me ask for money for a ring? I didn't give them all rings.
Then he get rings, right?
A couple of them I did, but they had to earn the money for the ring. I could go ask them to write a check. That ring means more if you put some money into it. But everybody else asked for a charity for a handout. Okay, so all right, I get it, but you know, let's make something. I took a whole team to Hawaii. We had to raise like $20,000, $30,000. We did fundraisers. Them kids were out there with me, and it wasn't just asking, but we were out there, you know, selling barbecue. I had bowling night. They showed up, man. We found ways, but they all found a way to make it happen. I don't want them just to get it free. Now, obviously, nobody had to pay the whole amount,
Right.
but you know, we find a way. And so, like, okay, here's, you know, Ken, you out here, you doing this, this, and this. All right, it's only gonna cost you $100 to go to Hawaii. Lola, shit. I was on track, you doing that? Shit, $400. Well, I got 4. See ya, don't go.
Right. I understand that.
Right, so but I determine what the work is because I know, right? So there's no rules, and that I think that's part of my thing. I'm kind of the judge, the jury, and the lawyers, right? So live with it. Just like I tell them here, you don't like what I do, go tell the AD. Oh, by the way, I'm the AD.
I've never had what I would presume to be a beam guy heard anybody say anything negative about beam.
No, it's not being guys. It's not. You know, come on, Ken. We know that, Ken, right? But let me ask you this, Coach. Your way of understanding talent in a way, right, are getting people to see it within themselves. Getting Tania Woods to go run track. Never ran before, become All-American. You might still hold the record in some places, right?
She's still in the top 8 ever.
And
guess who got 5 of the times faster than hers? Allison Felix and Marion Jones.
So that's
not
definitely
bad.
So that
San Diego,
but-
right? Allison Felix.
LA.
So we had this running back list we had, and on the list we have Roger Ratliff on our list, right?
Unbelievable talent.
What did you see in him from a running back standpoint to move him from D tackle to running back? And what was the eye catcher moment with that?
Probably because I'm not a very good coach and knows at the beginning, didn't I?
That's what the guys that probably went before.
So, and that's what I want you to understand. So this why, and here's a beam guy, here's Titan Pride. I don't know if it worked today. I think it would, but I don't know. Every one of my running backs that started for me went D1.
Yes, I heard.
So guys had to sit behind a guy. They didn't transfer. They didn't go take their parents didn't take him out. So when Roger was under, there was dudes better than him. Then it was his turn. But I saw him. So one of the things we lifted all the time in the morning, right? And on Fridays we would do 3-on-3 basketball.
He cool. He
But you just see people move, and that's another way to see it. But when we do 3-on-3 basketball, you mix up the teams. Like Will didn't get to stack his team. I made Will play with some scrubs,
Right.
but that made him a better player because he had a coach and get them to be in positions to be where they needed to be. And so I think that's the important thing, right? And so you always do stuff like that. So with Roger, you just saw him do certain things, and then I couldn't break him. Roger worked. We used to pull tires every day in the summer. Then we would pull them during sprints. He pulled them like nothing. And, Roger's going through some stuff. I don't care. You still gonna do it, brother. And he never changed. Damien Bouchelion, he would I kicked his ass to go. I had an all OEL quarterback as a junior, was a really good student, decided he should have been a 3-point all the time, and also he got barely 2.0s. He never played for me again. And everybody look at it. I kicked an all OEL 14 quarterback out the town. I don't care. It's not about winning.
Yeah.
So I'm not helping you win in life. Then I've lost.
Now I will say, from a quarterback perspective though, all the Skyline quarterbacks were professional handoffers.
Yeah.
So all OEL didn't earn anything.
They did. They threw when they needed to. Did we lose?
Did we lose?
So you was a professional thrower? Did you win?
That's a good question.
Did you win?
That's a good question right there, right?
Because Billy Cochran went on and played in the NFL. He was all headed it off.
Yeah.
He won the MVP at the bowl game when he played for Minnesota.
There's some controversy on the
There's some controversy on the Billy Cochran. Okay.
Bring it up.
I got a controversy to deal with that, right?
Is this
No. So the year before Billy Cochran comes to Skyline, you got Loose Open High.
We'll talk that. Okay, did we?
Yeah. Did you go get Billy? Did Billy Cochran transfer in for reinforcement?
No. Remember his dad was a coach at Cal.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Dad was a receiver coach at Cal.
Okay.
And saw what was happening with his son.
Okay.
And his mom and his dad were going through a divorce. So his dad moved here into Montclair, he was working at Cal, and had Billy come live with them. So he wanted his son probably to play at a better place.
Okay.
Obviously, right? And we was playing. And wanted to get coached, right? And I'm gonna tell you this, listen to this shit. You'll love this. So I'm coaching Billy and a skinny kid out of the peninsula named Tom Brady in Cal camp.
Wow.
Those are my two quarterbacks, and I'm working with them after every day. And Cal didn't offer either of them. Billy went on to Minnesota.
Did he go to Minnesota?
Yeah, and obviously Tom Brady went to Michigan.
Right.
Cal didn't offer either. I told him, you better take one of these two or both. Shit, they both can play.
Who they took? Pulaski?
Some other shit.
But we kind of see that with Cal even today. Like they wait so long to pull the trigger. They wait so long to pull the trigger or give a kid an offer in the Bay Area. Like they waiting to get their out of state guys in.
They got their own evaluation issue. You know, when Sonny was there, Sonny was always going to take a Texas guy over a local guy because he believed in Texas. That's where he's from. I mean, and I like Sonny.
Yeah.
But Sonny told me what he liked. Well, you know what? Sonny's trying to keep his job. Right? So that's what he wanted to do. I mean, we can't argue. Don't take it. So this is my deal. I don't take it personal. But I ain't gonna F with you if you ain't messing with my dudes.
Right.
So this is what you'll and I've said this a couple times on some big time podcasts. Not that yours isn't there yet, but it will be after this one. But anyway,
I believe that actually.
So
I believe that.
But I've been talking to him. I said back in the day, I used to send all my kids to Oregon. Oregon used to win. Now I send all my kids to Oregon State. Oregon State's winning. I said one of the things you want to do is you want to take one of my guys because they're Beams guys. They know how to win. My guys know how to win. They will do what it takes to win. So what's interesting, here's what's so interesting, right? Let's talk about the Billy C deal, right? So Billy's dad brings him here, the whole nine. He wins the whole day. We're on the bus ride up the hill. Coach, we gonna throw tomorrow. No, man, I'm tired. We ain't throwing on Monday. Shit, we're gonna give you a break before we go. All right. And on Tuesday, he transferred back to the school. I was devastated.
So that's the contract. Is he a Skyline? Is he?
To be honest, he is, but I don't mess with him like that. I don't mess with him like that, though.
When we do our rankings of OEL quarterbacks and we throw him on there, we get flack from people that say he's not an OEL quarterback. And we like,
okay. So
what makes it?
So it could be. I mean, I think y'all got to decide that. But so in your oil rankings?
No.
I was curious. Who do you pick as number one?
No.
Hey.
No. Quarterback. No, we got Jace. No, we got Jace Goree. We got Jace Goree. We got Jace Goree.
Jace is my idol.
We got Jace Goree. We have Jace Goree as our number one.
You like Luke Fisher?
Luke Fisher was number two. Luke Fisher was number
Kyle
two.
Reed.
Yeah, we got some of that.
Kyle Reed was the two happiest people when I left Skyline come here were Coach Carter and Kyle Reed. Because Kyle Reed, every year we played him. Look at the thing. I knocked him out the game. Every game that they played when he was a quarterback and I was in Skyline, we knocked him out the game.
So, some people put Josh. I think Josh was really after high school.
So let me.
So if you guys where do you put Jamani Robinson?
So Jamani comes up. And
an undefeated team.
Really,
Handoff.
a lot.
Did he? He threw a lot better than you.
But hold on, before we get back to the quarterback, hold on.
Okay.
So on our running back list, we do got Raj, right? I'm gonna name in our year from '96 to 2004, Bay Area, not OEL, Bay Area.
It's tough for me because I don't know the years, but go ahead.
Yeah, but I'm gonna name the running backs on the list, and you tell me.
You'll be able to tell.
I need you to tell me
Okay.
who goes on, and who comes off.
All right.
So I got DJ Williams, of course. Atari Collins,
Okay.
Marty Jones-Drew,
Yeah.
Marshawn Lynch,
Yeah.
Ken Simonton,
Yeah. Oh shit, those dudes.
Jackie Crooks,
Yeah.
Michael Denard,
Yeah.
Treston George,
Yeah.
Roger Ratliff,
Yeah.
and Alero Vital.
So I'm gonna tell you right now, Marshawn's number one.
We didn't put it in that. It wasn't that.
Yeah, he wasn't in that.
It was just that.
Not even close.
Not in order.
Now, let me just say this though. If you look at the thing, so we would have beat them because up until the Silver Bowl, they never fed Marshawn the ball as a running back. Remember, he was split all the time.
Yeah,
You know? So up until the first half, we're up, right? We're up. We're gonna close this game out. Then they came out and they fed him the ball. We couldn't stop his ass.
Okay.
I think that Denard was okay. I don't think he's that high. I think DJ Williams, you like him because of high school player, but he's really a linebacker.
Linebacker.
You
Yeah.
know, yeah, Callan. Jackie Crooks was good, but I don't think he's not better. So he's not better than Roger. And I don't know the years, but you don't have Giannis and those.
So we did have
Frank Summers.
How do you not have them?
Giannis, Frank Summers, and they were debatable as Mikey and Treston George, right?
Tristan George is not in the league with those guys.
Eddie Smith.
Eddie Smith was okay. He's not the same thing. I mean,
Terrell Roberts.
But we don't have Aaron. We don't have Aaron Early on here either.
he's not in the same league as those guys.
Okay, so
I don't think so. I mean,
But
I
clearly we
think
didn't either.
Yeah.
Clearly we didn't either.
I would say that when you look at someone like Ken Simonton, I mean shit, he was really good at Pittsburgh. I think Leon Callan, those were up there.
See, okay, so
And
Leon
Maurice Jones
and Leon Callan, Muhammad from there.
so Lee
Okay.
Muhammad.
But we didn't want to have a 10
Yeah.
daylight
Yeah.
running back.
No, and I don't. So but they're not like Roger. Everyone will tell you the coaches that coached him in college, he would have been an NFL guy if he didn't let life didn't run into him, right? So he was a real deal. I would also say this about that list that you have. When you look at it, and you look at the Maurice True Jones, he was a real deal. But I also want to throw a little shade at you at this way because this is supposed to be a controversial thing,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
So they talk about the book and the movie about Dale Cell playing Polly, right?
Yeah.
And Maurice
He
Jones,
ran Lou Polly.
he did, but to me he cheated. Oh, look at you! I like that look. I wish the camera was facing out.
Well, you the camera can take this. How did he cheat?
So you play Polly, which would be like playing Skyline or a Mac or whatever, right?
Okay.
At halftime, he's cramped up. He can't move.
I have heard that from him.
No, it's in the movies, in the book. So what they do? Their team doctor gave them ice IVs. Can anybody from Oakland do that? Can you get an IV?
They don't have
Polly got an IV?
They don't have
we
resources.
didn't have.
But you hear what I'm saying? So because you're a private school, you got a whole different set of things than anybody else doesn't have. You hear what I'm saying?
Resources wise.
Oh, look at you.
So basically,
he got his name back. I'm just
We
saying.
had no private school daddies now.
That's okay, but I'm just saying.
that doesn't make sense, kid, because if Sammy Parker would have the same.
So you don't have water and we got water. That's my fault.
No, but if Sammy
Trying to
Parker.
get, so we all can buy. Anybody can buy water. Not anybody can get an IV.
No, anybody can't
Yeah.
afford an IV, but anybody can buy an IV.
No, you can't. Can't
Why
you?
not?
Shit, you know how to put one.
No. But here's this.
You know how to put one
If
in?
Sammy Parker or someone from Poly have that same
Mercedes
Lewis, some Sammy Parker,
They got an
they
unfair
can't.
advantage.
It is an unfair advantage, though, kid.
We're always looking for an advantage.
I understand that, but this is a monetary advantage, and this is the have. I'm just saying
No.
because he made it, and he made his name obviously when he got to the NFL as well. But everybody talks about that game, what he did.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is a Roger Ratliff, a Marshawn Lynch, Aaron Early, a Denard, they wouldn't have been able to do that. They got to cramp. They're done.
They done. Okay, but
They done.
I think if I had a Beam as my coach, I would be
no, but
probably still playing.
and then we go back to our other controversial thing. I'm not sure if you saw it, right? We asked the question to Gino Vital on the rec center.
Now Gino Red.
No, Gino,
Gino.
the one.
Oh, the
second one.
The second one.
So Alario's on your list.
Alario's on our
He's a real
list.
deal too.
Alario's on our list, right? But Gino, we asked him a question about, you know, who could have been playing through the OEL that may have been overrated. And his response was, all the Skyline running back during Beam era. He's
Overrated?
Yeah, overrated. He felt that if your blocking scheme and what you did with your line was so much above the rest of the league that any running back could have did what Raj did or what.
Because no other school had defensive
No other team was bounce.
No other OEL school had a front seven that could compete with.
No. They wasn't blocking next level, second and third level.
I would say that that's accurate in some ways, but then when they look at what Roger and those guys did in preseason games against other top teams, right?
So we didn't agree with you.
No, but I would also say this
Yeah.
though. What I will say this is that I don't know what everybody did. And I'm not ever gonna do, but I know that the way I ran my guys, we run 300s in the summer. We're doing 10 300s at a time in the heat. We pulling tires. We running that hill. They were in shape to run. The rest of the OEL, that's how we beat them. We were in shape.
Absolutely.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
And I say this is why I say Mac wins all the time right now. And Pooh's a good coach, no doubt. But they're the only team that lifts. We're the only team that lifted. Now you might go lift at your high school bench, but we squatting, we high pulling, we cleaning, we snatching.
Yeah.
We didn't even, I got to San Jose. I didn't even know what a cleaning was.
You hear what I'm saying? Exactly. And so that's a little bit of the difference. Again, like when I came here, like you played here, look how I changed what this looks like.
Absolutely.
Because I wanted to be a Division I school. Same thing, I go back, right? Because I'm teaching at Havens Court, because I'm teaching at Frick, they don't, and you black and you come from Oakland, you don't get to learn how to ice skate, you don't get to go horseback riding, you don't get to go skiing. Why am I limiting to you? We want to treat you like a Division I program. We don't do it, right? We're gonna have the tutor, we have an academic coach, we have a mental health specialist. We have everything here that's just like what you had at San Jose or better, and it's gonna have a better facility. Our locker room is on fire, compared. So I want the kids to be like, it shouldn't be the Atari Callan and our Maurice Jones get the IV. Well, our doctor don't give an IV now. Shit. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Right.
And we didn't have that, and weren't able to, so we need to think about those things. And I'll just say that because I want to bring some content.
Absolutely.
And I think
so. One name I want to bring up, because he doesn't get a lot of publicity, but all the Skyline dudes my era swear by this dude. So, and I don't really remember him like that. I remember the name, but nothing really stands out. Chris James.
Oh yeah.
What?
Running back.
Because again, Kirk will fight me for not talking about Chris, and I'm like, I just don't.
He was just real quiet. He was solid, but he was Terry and Hump were in there, but he was probably a better running back than Hump. But really, what he was a hell of a strong safety. Because we run a lot of bear stuff, right? We want to do that. What I always try to do is we're going to be gap oriented. We're going to be a penetrator. We like to be an odd front, but I would use Chris as a linebacker. He'd be stacked up there as a linebacker. So basically, I had Jarris, Kurt, and Chris in the linebackers. So we're getting ready to get started here, so we got a little bit of time, and I got to roll out. But I love this fact having fun. So you got to get to what you want.
Let me ask you this: when I'm thinking of the Skyline tailbacks from, and I could go back with what was the guy? It was like my freshman year, or no, Lou Fisher in them year. Y'all running back? No. It wasn't that Rob too? But you guys had a really good running back that year. Did your '97 running backs, right? If you were to rank your years running back, would that
97 was Roger.
No, I'm talking about the class of '97. Joe Cannon and them years,
Joe
right?
Cannon.
Joe Cannon and Leon McDaniel them years, right?
Yeah.
They was really good, right? But we never hear people rank them. Not even Skyline guys don't talk high.
Yeah, you know what, Leon, because Leon would get in trouble sometimes. Like right before we go play Devil's Side, get suspended.
Right.
Joe was solid. Joe, we go play Fremont. Fremont was loaded that year.
Yeah.
Loaded. And Joe goes just buck wild like 200 plus yards. Just ran it down their throat. And we did a lot of stuff. And this is where I think like what Gino was talking about. Like we would go play people in the OEL, and we run unbalanced line. I bring an extra offensive lineman in, and cats would never catch on to that on the other side. Like add a person to the box. Like we got 2 extra linemen, and you still got 4 DBs. Like okay, let's go.
The coaching was a little.
Of course.
You know what I mean? And so
I was more unfair than I
Yeah.
was the coaching.
so we get guys, and then Joe just ran his tail off, right? I mean, but then like there's a guy like we got Lynch, so Damon, who's Marshawn's cousin. Damon ran for back-to-back 300-yard games and played every game at corner as well as running back. And so people don't even know him. And then he goes and runs 10, probably 10-6, 10-7, not really running track, but just still went out there and ran that. I mean, that's that Lynch DNA,
But was it mandatory for your guys back then to do another sport, to run track?
So this is what they had to do, right? They think about this, right? Again, we're talking about academic achievement, right? So everybody says, well, when the season's over, I'm going to go, coach, I'm not going to do anything because I want to work on my grade, keep my grades up. Boy, what you going to do? You leave school at 3:15. What the hell are you going to do until your mama calls at 6? You ain't doing that. We'll get in trouble. So your ass is going to be with me. So I went from coaching football to coaching wrestling to coaching track. And you had to go. So if you play basketball, you can play baseball, but not you go. So I had like Kwame Ellis plays in the NFL, John Fisher played in the NFL, both running backs, DBs. They wrestled. Right? They weren't any good, but it's all right. They were there with me. And so wrestling ain't, wrestling ain't no joke.
Nah, it's endurance for sure.
And you got to be out there. And everybody see you a little, you out there getting your ass whooped on that mat and shit. But the point is, I wanted them to be with me because I controlled them. I control the time they're with me. I know where they're at. They ain't running the streets. Won't. We're at. We're doing something positive. At least what I feel is positive.
So and did you? I'm sorry, my bad, Ken. Did you win the 4x1 relay with all football players?
All football. Not only did we win, set a record.
Set the record.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they set the record. Devron Boyd, Jay Charlotte, Jay Coop, and Brandon Nichols. Was it Brandon Nichols, right?
Nichols.
Yeah, B. Nichols, right? Fast, right? Remember I told you
But not track guys.
Not the football players.
They were all football. Not one of them made it to the state in the 100 meter, 200 meters. We just went for the relay.
Football guys, right? And you got people that were reserved. Like Clarence Lewis was fast. Lewis was fast, right? But he didn't make that 4x1 team. That didn't speak of the athlete that Skyline had.
Or it tells you what can happen if you work them. Right? So we got all this speed. So again, I'm just gonna say this since I've been here. Just think about this. Who from the Oil's got anything in the track and done anything? So last year, not this past season, but the year before, Mac had all them football players all running 10-something. I bet Pooh and they weren't going to beat my track record. Shit, they didn't even win the championship, let alone beat my time, man.
Right.
Because we think of track as an individual sport, but it's not. It's team. The whole idea on a relay to 4x1, the stick never slows down. It doesn't decelerate. You got to time it so that I'm giving you the stick at the moment that you're full speed and I'm full speed. There's no deceleration. That stick cannot stop.
Yes.
And then you got to stack the order. So Devron was our slowest runner. I put him at 4. But why you put him at 4? Shit, I need to get that boy a lead. Because once I get a lead, everybody else's fourth leg, who might be the fastest, he's mad because he's not winning, so he's going to leave early. And now the stick change is messed up. You got to coach. You got to think. But I learned that when I got my master's because I'm working with these dudes that are Olympic coaches up at Cal State Hayward. They were smart dudes. And, I had to learn all that. And that's when I go back to coaching, because I have a degree and I'm learning all these different things about sport. I'm learning how to lift because track guys lift way different than football guys do. Now, football's starting to lift like track does now.
Yeah.
Way different, and the running. And so it's taking all these different sports and men figuring out the best way to come up with something. Shit, we talk about like Tania, she was squatting 300 in high school.
That's crazy.
But that's just part of the thinking. But even before she got there, Sakai, my assistant, they won the whole team won the whole state track meet as a team. Hurdlers, jumpers. Sky was, so you got all this stuff going on, and it's all happening at Skyline. Now you want to hear? Let me just tell you this story.
Yeah.
So the other day we're sitting in here, right? I got Will Blackwell, I got Mickey Stewart, I had Sakai, I had Tania, and they were asking to do something. And I just thought about something. Will, second round draft pick, went to San Diego. Mickey had offers from UOP and San Jose State. Sakai went to Kansas State on track scholarship. Tania went to LSU track scholarship. 4 Skyline people I coach, 4 scholarship Division I. Since I left Skyline, can anybody name that there's been 4 Division I players been out of Skyline since I left in 20 years?
Track or just
put it all together. All them football
Was
teams.
Jerry Jones your guy?
Jerry Jones.
He was a track guy. Gary Jones.
Gary was my guy.
Yeah, Gary was there. Jamal Cook was.
What was the running back? He's good friends with my brother. He went to Utah. Running back.
Joe Bates. Joe Bates was your guy.
Anthony Shine.
Yeah, Armand. Shine.
Yeah, but he went to JC first.
He did.
What about Joe Bates is your guy? Joe Bates was with you?
He played for me and played here.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I quit.
So,
Think about it. But why is that? How is that possible?
Well, we all know coaching is important.
no, but how does Skyline get to that point
Yes.
where nobody?
Yes.
Wow, what
The beam left.
No, but
No, but it's got to be more than that, guys.
if it's a program, right? Look at it like this, right? Zoe left and Pooh still was able to.
Yeah, but who
get
took
back.
over when being left?
Yeah.
Think about it, but Food's been there the whole time.
Yeah.
Was KC there with you?
Yeah, he actually graduated from Scotland.
See, so KC ended up taking was KC right after you.
No, Kevin Evans was coaching with me here, but he won. He beat Kyle Reed's team.
So
With the dude that went to Georgia, the tight end.
So back
Damn.
the
Be athletic. I mean, you
Well,
were
the $1 million question is though, how does Skyline get to that point?
Thank you.
Like the location doesn't change. You're still getting Oakland kids. How does Skyline get to what it is now?
That's a great question. Let's ask the interviewer.
I think it's something that bothers me. But it's not even that, because even back then, Fremont would have one or two kids, Fisher, they had the receiver Reynolds that went to Washington State. It didn't used to only be Skyline or now MAC. We have many schools putting out Division I players. Why is that not happening now? Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So when I'm winning at Skyline, right, I'm bringing coaches. Eric Culberson, y'all know Eric.
Yeah.
Shit, I got him his trip to Oregon and got in Boise because shit, he was killing us. Right? So you tell him, but you got to have that. So Mac's winning, but where are the other coaches? Where are they coming? Fremont has some guys now, going. But the point is,
But they transferred out though.
Yeah.
And so it's like,
Yeah.
it's.
Hey, you know it all. Shit.
Let me ask you this, because this is the thing, right? Does how much of the league that you play in from college coaches play into me giving you this type of league?
There's a lot, because you want to see caliber of who you play against. So that's why one of the things I did when I was at Skyline, my first 5 games was against the best teams around, because I want to make sure you played against best people so you can see the caliber. That's number one. But back in the day, there wasn't such a discrepancy in the OEL. There was talent at every level, speed at every level. So if you fast, that Skyline kid fast, and the OEL is a fast kid regardless. But now they don't see that, because there's not as much speed in the league like it used to.
Okay.
And then I'll tell you this, and Ed's right, you're both right. All of you guys are right. You are moving kids out. Why? Because you got to pick what you think is best for your child.
Absolutely.
And so, how many kids go to Monroe that should be at Oakland? How many go to Sacred Heart that should be in an Oakland school? How many should go to De La Salle? How many go to Bishop O'Dowd, right? And so, those things are all around, and we have to make those decisions. My daughter's a commissioner for the North Coast section, and we talked about the Fremont kids. I said, baby, but they don't have a coach, and these guys are here. It's not fair to the kids. She said, Dad, they still got to find, they got to do the rules. I said, yeah, but who's coaching at Fremont now? Lloyd. Okay, where's Lloyd? Come on, Lloyd's a nice human being.
Yeah, but it's not.
So speaking of you and coaches at other schools, because I do not want to get out of here without asking this question.
Because I got to go.
Yeah. So, and I see that. So, Willow and I are playing. It's Skyline. We leave. It's Skyline. And then there's a tipping point where Coach Carter comes in, and he seems to be the only coach that can consistently compete with you guys. And then it seems like there was a rivalry of sorts. What was that like? And I was at that game when you guys finally were beat by somebody. What was that relationship like? What was that rivalry like at that time? And did that play? We have heard around the city that played a part in you coming to Laney. Is that true?
No, I come to Laney because I think about this, right? The day I walk in here, I make $15,000 more than I did at Skyline. At Skyline, I was the highest paid teacher in Oakland. It's $69,000.
Yeah, I would love to.
I left. And remember my retirement. We're the same retirement system, so that means I'm making $15,000 more retirement, and I work as hard.
Right.
So that's one. I think the thing about MAC that was interesting was that they always had good players, right? And Coach did a good job. And I tell everybody that, they said, well, there's this rival. I said, well, rival means that, you're trading wins off. he never trained on win. He won 1 year, and he won because he brought the two brothers down there that was really good. And even then, I gave him a run for money with a team that had no Division I players. Then in the last game I played against him at the Coliseum, the first time we ever had a Coliseum game with Oakland schools, finally got to play in the Coliseum. He had all that good talent. And I put him I shut him out 36-0 or something like that. Where Giannis went crazy. But I think, coach has done a good job. And I tell him this, but the guy that y'all keep forgetting is Pooh's been there with every coach at Mac.
Yeah.
So he was there when Carter won.
Yeah.
He was there when McCulley won. And now he's winning it himself.
But Pooh stood us up.
Did he?
Yeah.
You came on, Coach Carter came on, Ed came on,
Yeah.
Purdell came on.
I love it.
KC's ready to come on, Pooh stood us up.
Hey, but before we let you go, before I get out of here, how much was the change in the Last Chance U and bringing the cameras around and all of these type of things? Like, how much was it not showing Bean, right? The full, like, the camera gonna catch me, they older than the Skyline guys here, but how much of all of that?
I think people say, some guys say that's me. The older Skyline goes, oh, hell no, coach, you so soft.
That's what I heard.
They say,
That's what I heard.
But they do say, oh, hell no, it's the real deal. So I think it's all depends. It's a new era with certain things. I think it was hard. They're in, you're mic'd the whole time. I mean, I thought it was going to be like a Mario Bobbino, show with your little GoPro or some shit, And they got, just the mic itself is $16,000 mic, and they come in with like 15, 20 mics at every quarter mic. They got 20 people here listening to every mic. They got 3 camera crews. The camera crew is like 9 or 12 people, and on game day there's 10 crews. It's a multi-million-dollar deal, right? But after a while, it's good, and I think it got to tell the story of Oakland. I mean, you guys saw it. Don't look at me.
They got to tell the JC story. The JC story. I think a lot of people don't understand that JC.
Yeah, if you've watched the other two, right? They got dorms, they got real playing. We didn't get any of that.
Exactly.
You were living in a car.
Right.
Yeah.
We're dealing with different things, right? And so I think that's a whole different thing. I think, they got food insecurities. And so I'm glad we got the California JC story out there, which you obviously know about. You don't, but it's
Going to WBC.
Yeah, but still not the same.
Different 300 yards.
But because I was a coach.
Well, Ooch had a good. No, it was the players. Ooch was really good. It was Ken did his thing.
But what I'm saying is that when you look at it, though, is that we got to tell Oakland story.
Mm-hmm.
I was proud of that.
Yeah.
And I hope what people understood was that watching that the other two coaches, I'm not them, right? That I care for my players and my students and who I am. Even today, I told you stuff that you didn't even know about, right? So as you come, if that changes, how you see me, then it was successful because, it has to be more than just a sport. It has to be more than winning. Winning is about winning in life, right? And I say this. I got guys that are multimillionaires. I got guys that are doctors. I got guys that are lawyers. I got guys that play the NFL. I got guys that work at East Bay Mud. I got guys that do plumbing. I got a guy that works at, Enterprise. They're all important. They're all Beams guys because they're taking care of their kids, right? They're taking care of business, right? And if I call them for something, they're there. Like with Marvell and all those guys making, I never ask them for money. All I ask, if I call you, will you help the next guy?
Right.
So when Ray and Shiny get ready for the draft, I reach out to Jarrett's and those guys. They talk to them about being an NFL kid, coming in, how to take care of your money, how to do this or that. I had a kid at Arizona, and Kurt went down there from Phoenix to Tucson to check on him because he was running some problems with weed and shit, check on him. I couldn't get there.
Yeah.
That's what I want you to do. We talk about Titan pride. We here for each other, and we mean it. Joe Cannon, if you need a haircut, Joe Cannon will take care of you. You need something else with finance, he don't take care of you. He's helping the community. Bob, I get on Bob about shit all the time, man. You got to do this. Bob hustling, taking care of his kids. Moved them out. Those are the important things, right? So. Someone asked me, we're going to name this year, we're going to name the football stadium after Stan Peters, we're going to name the track after Probert Jacobs, we're going to name the stadium after Bill Riley. So, Coach, when we're going to name after you, I don't need nothing named after me. don't even know if I still do.
The key to the city.
My name should be on the people that I touch, even if I only coach you for one game and I made an impact.
Yeah.
That's my legacy. Because I saw when you came here with your daughter, and I hope your daughter has a legacy from that time with me in those 2 years, that I brought something free to Oakland, no cost, to have fun. We didn't care about it. We had the music bumping, you know.
It was a good time.
You know what I'm saying? It was exposure. It was fun,
It was a good time.
right? That's what I want people to get from me. I don't want to be known as a great coach. I want to be known as a good human being. I want to be known as someone that's ambassador to a city that I'm not raised in, but who adopted me and I adopted it.
Nice, nice, absolutely.
Because it's like in a family, right? Some people, it's your family because of blood, but they're not really your family,
Got to feel that.
right? But you got people in your lives,
That's your
your
family.
family,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
right? And that's what I try to build at Skyline. Because how many times did I have young men there that came from dysfunctional families? They didn't have fathers, they didn't have whatever, some didn't have any parents.
Right.
But we had to give them that unit. We had to give them someone that cared about them, someone that they could trust. Right? And that's what I want my legacy to be.
And also, Coach, you got a guy, so a lot of these guys you talked about that went on to do all these different things in these different fields, right? One of the guys I want to ask you about is Keith Bonner.
KB.
KB. Coaching that, he did grad at Hawaii, now he's at, what is it, Oregon State
Yeah,
now?
Oregon State.
Yeah, Oregon State, right? How much of it do you guys still talk all the
talk all
time,
the time.
man? And do
I was at his wedding.
you at his wedding, right? Do you have aspirations of going to that D1 level as well? Or do he have, or do you be like, hey Keith, if you ever come back, go do Titan Pride, go be the head coach
So
over there.
can I give you a great story about Keith?
Absolutely.
So Keith, started in 9th grade at St. Mary's. It didn't work money-wise. So 10th grade he played at at Skyline. Spring of his 10th grade year, I come up, the gym's down below, the campus up here. So, sometimes I just take a whoop through the top. Keith behind the building gambling, rolling dice, cutting class, rolling dice with some other cats. They all ran. I caught Keith. Who was with you, Keith? He wouldn't tell me. All right, you done. I kicked him off the team. He had to run to the firehouse. I couldn't keep him on my class. Every day he would leave Skyline to the firehouse and back. Couldn't do anything. Okay? Now, he off the team. His mom will go to the principal. Shit, I can't do nothing to Coach Bean. They go to school board. I can't do nothing to Coach Bean. They go to superintendent. Can't do nothing to Coach Bean. He can't play. He done. Tell me, well, if he tells you he's going to get beat up, then they're not his friends. So I let him play JV, junior year, senior year, he's the man. He knocked out CC Sebastian. CC knocked him out. Now Keith left the game too, but he left on his own power. But the point was that he got the scholarship. And then while he's at Hawaii, they had a coaching change. He called me up, coach, they're gonna pull my scholarship. They're not gonna know. I go, what? So I can't get on the coaches are recruiting. I called the AD and the president of the college. You better not. I'm gonna get on the plane. I'm gonna be on the newspaper. You can't treat people like, well, it was a mistake. You got it. GA. I helped him get his first job at Colorado, at Boise. I got him that interview. He thanks me every day because his real friends weren't really his real friends.
Right.
Because why didn't they step up and say, Coach, I was the one gambling. I cut class with Keith.
Right.
They didn't do it. And some of them cats.
They could have.
And you know their names. I ain't gonna say who they are, but you understand. But Keith learned right there who his real friends are, who's real family, and who stays with them at his wedding. Every time this job, he asked me what she'd do. When the whole staff got fired at Washington, I went up there and spent a day with him because he had never been fired in his life. He had a golden life. Keith had a chance to be in the NFL. He's choosing to be there. Keith could be an AD. He could be whatever he wants. But you know what? You stay with that because. Well, who was real friends? And I love Keith every day to that story, but he's a bean guy. Because he could have quit, but you know what? I want you to quit. I make it so you quit.
Right.
I want you to quit. I want to know if you really want this. Are you doing it for you or are you doing it for your daddy?
Right.
That's what I want to know.
So why you never went past, or not past, why didn't you ever go?
So I was a finalist for the DB job at Oregon with Mike Bellotti. And so when he said he's going to have the answer, he didn't have it, waited 2 more weeks, and then finally I realized I was good enough to be a finalist, but I also realized I didn't control my life anymore, that he did. I like coaching my daughters in basketball. I like being with my family. I filed a grievance against Oakland for making us play on Saturdays, because that's my girls' soccer games. Why can't we play on Fridays, right? Play at 2:30. So anyway, that was the reason. So yeah, I had the opportunity. I like doing this. I think I have a bigger impact and I enjoy it. And so I won't leave this level. And if I did, I'm probably not good enough because I can't do computer stuff. I have to be down there. I don't do any of that stuff. I can't.
Right.
I don't do all that.
So this last question, Coach, me and King gotta look at the camera for this one, man. So we had a whole bunch of Skyline guys going against Titan Pride when we did these rankings, right? We want you to rank your top 5 Skyline teams.
So I started coaching in 1987. So my first team's got to be there because why? It's my first team as a head coach ever.
Okay.
We were only 5-4-1. We lost to Mac actually, and they won the championship. That we came second.
was on that team.
He might have been playing on it, yeah. The 88 team was my first undefeated team. We went 10-0, so you got to put them there. 89, that was a great team. 90 was phenomenal. 91, 92, 93, oh my God. What a
You don't name them all. You don't name them all.
96, 97 with 12, first team ever with 12.
So
me and Lowe say 98.
that's their best team.
So first of all, I always do it based on fall because that's the year they play.
Okay,
so 97.
97.
And I would say that was a great team too.
That's our favorite team.
And I would also say the team of 2000, my last team, even though we lost to Marsan and them in the Coliseum, was a great team because no one even knew some of these guys, and yet we took 2 NFL dudes right to the last minute with Fat Frog as a quarterback. The year before we were rolling with dudes, and Kurt and them team, but shit, they beat everybody. And then Frankie and them, we only had a tie. We were no losses.
Yeah.
So how do you pick a team? And I'm gonna tell you this: how many kids you have?
4.
How many kids you have?
4.
Who's your favorite kid?
No, I do got favorites.
You do?
Yeah.
Then you're gonna say it out loud,
I don't
right?
have a
I
favorite.
got my oldest, I got my
I don't have a favorite.
You know what I'm saying? Because they each have a special meaning to me.
Yeah.
They each did something extraordinary to me. But the most extraordinary thing that they did is you got this group of young men that worked together to try to achieve something. And they did it the way I wanted to do it, the Skyline way, the Titan Pride way. And it's not easy because I'm on their asses daily. I walk in your class, Kenny, and you mess up in class, I'm going to slap the hell out of you back of your head in front of the whole class.
And I've heard you.
We heard that. Yeah, we heard that story.
Lo, I'm going to come find you and I will get you and bring you to your class.
Yeah, we heard that story.
Marvell Smith left every day. He's a Pro Bowler.
Yeah.
I used to pull him off the bus like this, drag him, pap, 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 pap. I got a kid that I pulled a sawed-off shotgun at, had to go to YA, that still thanks me every day to this day. Because I saved his life.
Right.
Because he would have either killed someone with that shotgun or been killed. So to me, they're all got stories. And they're all great stories. But I'm going to tell you what I'm really proud of is that I got 2 guys from Oakland High and Oakland Tech that thought it was important enough to come talk to me and ask me some great questions, and I got to share with you. But I'm proud of what you 2 are doing. Because there is so much in Oakland that can happen, and you guys are sharing that to everybody. And it is controversial, but that's okay. I'd rather have fights with words than fights with bullets.
Absolutely.
We ain't gonna do no fight.
But you hear what I'm saying? But I think it's important because I think these youngsters need to hear what y'all got to say. And I say youngsters, I'm talking about the guys in the street, but also these young adults who coach us, because there is a rich tradition here. So Carter and I have a rivalry, whatever, yes. But I helped him and he would help me. You know what I'm saying? It still wasn't that point that we did, that we were adversarial maybe on the field, but we still looked at what was best for our community, right? And
I wish we had social media back then.
and then you could, no, I'm glad we don't. And then I will also say this, I still live in Oakland. Not everybody still lives in Oakland.
No,
I still live in Oakland.
Beam has my heart. Beam, I've been out of high school 20-something years, and I see Beam and other shit. I saw Beam at the state championship game. Like, hey, what's up, Kenny? I'm like, man, I didn't even play for you. So, man, that's a wrap. Thank you guys for tuning in. 2 claps. Ready? You got it. Look at you do that. Thank you for watching this clip. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on all notifications. Get more content like this at the Rec Center Podcast.